Hello and welcome. I am Ben the Best 5 and I'm coming at you with yet more Kerbal Space Program content. Now, for this week's mission, a few weeks ago I did my amazingly awesome Lathe mission where, I'm pretty proud of that one. Wait, no, the other Lathe mission, the one where I sent the station there. We had a secondary objective where I was going to try and use the interplanetary nuclear stage I built to send a satellite to a very specific orbit as a kind of secondary objective. However, I kind of ran out of fuel and wasn't able to complete the secondary objective to that mission. So with this particular video, that's what I'm doing. I'm setting up a video where I'm going, or a mission where in the video I'm going to complete the secondary objective before the contract expires, and I'm going to do it by spending basically as little funds as possible. Because this entire mission, in fact, only cost me 25,000 funds, which is a very, very small amount of money considering the reward I'm getting and considering how much, other people might spend performing a mission like this. So, this is one of my good old-fashioned go somewhere by spending basically no money videos. So the actual payload itself is a very simple satellite. It just has 3 of the big solar panels because, well, we need big solar panels when we're orbiting somewhere like Lathe because the sun actually is very weak around there, so in order to generate enough thrust, enough electricity to function properly, it needs 3 loads of solar panels, and just has a basic communication device, although I probably didn't need a communication dish that large because I do have a rather large number of relays around Lathe that could probably pick it up. However, if I tried to enter an orbit or try to make adjustments in solar orbit, then I might have an issue, so maybe putting the big thing on there was a good idea. Anyway, it's just a really basic satellite with power and an antenna and an engine. Love the Terrier engine, it's actually super efficient. Really good at producing mission results because it's very small. Anyway, we're going to be performing a booster recovery on my C-class of booster. Now, as you can see, this booster is actually different. I've made some modifications since last time I flew it. And that is that I've added air brakes, because I discovered that air brakes, although they do add extra weight, the amount of performance I can get from a booster by not having to leave spare fuel for a landing burn is actually greater than the effect that because I can use fuel for the ascent instead of for the landing now. It means that I can actually send larger payloads on a rocket, and also means that the chance of failure is actually reduced because I don't need to burn at all. I can just deploy those little flaps and they drop my booster nice and down safely, and also means that the booster slows down faster, which means it actually drops close to the Kerbal Space Center, which means I get more funds back for recovery. So adding those little air brake fins is actually a very good idea, and someone actually did suggest it to me for 6 months ago, but I never really thought much about it. But then when I did my Ariane 6 recoverable soft theoretical discussion video, not my usual content last week, I realized just how effective air brakes are because I use them on that, and so from here on in I'll in fact put them on all of my spacecrafts. Now this is me just creating a maneuver to get me to Joule's orbit. I will in fact be using the upper stage in part of the burn, and this is just because the upper stages for this craft really aren't worth recovering because they are worth so incredibly little. And as you can see, that Terrier engine actually has over 3,000 units of delta V from a very small fuel tank, and I actually love this engine, as I mentioned earlier, because it's able to output a lot of thrust, well, a lot of delta V, because it generates quite a considerable amount of thrust, and it uses almost no fuel. It's actually possibly the most efficient economy-wise engine in the entire game. Now, engines like the nuclear engine do actually generate more delta V for a small amount of fuel. However, they cost $10,000 to put on your craft, whereas the Terrier engine that you can see I'm burning with there actually only costs somewhere in the range and the vicinity of like $1,000, maybe less, to mount to your craft, which actually means for something like a one-way mission like this, or in fact a mission where you don't need insane amounts of delta V, or you don't have a massive craft which you need to transfer across large amounts of space, the Terrier engine is actually a far more efficient choice as far as cost goes for transporting something, as an upper stage or an interplanetary stage or as a kick stage. Now, I didn't use it for the actual upper stage of that rocket, but that's because it's actually rather thrust weak, so I needed the extra thrust generated by the larger engine there. So as you saw, I just finished my my trans dual injection burn, and I planned on doing a small correction burn. However, I had to do a small correction burn just to really bring my craft into a nice enclosed dual orbit, and there wasn't much to say. I just messed with the normal anti-normal, and here's me actually burning around dual to circularize, and I was actually taken aback a bit by just how nicely they actually managed to make the textures on the surface of dual look, where I actually just took a moment there to actually just appreciate just how high quality those textures are, and dual actually looks really fascinating after the update. Like I saw what they were planning on doing with it, on their release updates on the newsletter, and I didn't think it was anything special, but then when I actually saw it in person, I actually thought that's actually a really good update. Nicely done. Anyway, so I inserted myself into a dual orbit like that, and I actually got a whole bunch of interesting Lathe encounters which weren't actually super useful. However, and increased my orbit, as you could see there, another point of showing that footage. However, I was able to get to a point where I was able to get a nice lathe, I was able to inject myself into an orbit around Lathe just by orbiting Lathe and waiting for an opportunity to come up, and then from there it was just a simple case of circularizing and then correcting my inclination slightly, because the inclination I came in wasn't perfect because it never was going to be, but luckily I had more than enough delta V to do that, and I could then tick that off as a successfully completed mission. Thank you for watching my video you see here. I know it was a bit of a shorter video, could have perhaps talked about some of the stuff there longer, but anyway, this is the end screen. I do hope you enjoyed watching it. If you liked my content, then please leave a like to the video. It lets me know this is the kind of stuff that people want to watch. I also was considering, breaking up my content a little bit more, and because I do have a replica of the ISS I built, and I was wondering about, releasing one along this series 1 week, and then every second week, doing one centered around that. So if that's something you do want to see, then please let me know in the comments. If people are interested in that, then I'll do that. I'll break up my content with perhaps some content which isn't as efficiency based, but based more around actually just building cool stuff. Anyway, if you like that, please leave a like and do consider subscribing. Subscriptions do help me. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a great day.